hold on. For people who are just watching, like, can you explain what a spirit guide is? I don't know if you're,
Sure.
because like a
Yeah.
lot of people might
Well,
not even know.
many practices use spirit guides, and that's what I was getting to. Actually, they're quite common in use by intuitives and mediums, as well as shamanically. I think it's a great question because the term spirit guide can be used on many levels. It can be an animal spirit, it can be actually even an elemental, it can be so many different things. And we often have, tree beings can actually be spirit guides too. So there are different things. You think about the spirit of a tree, that's shamanically. But most often, spirit guides are those who have, I don't know, not really angels, but like, different spirits from the other side. But angels could be, right, Derek? It
Oh
could
yeah,
be
right.
Oh
basically
yeah, sure.
anything. Like I said, my very first spirit guide was Sasquatch, who said to me that he had been with me since I was a child, which is interesting because I had a lot of trauma as a kid, and it's amazing I made it through. And so I had this big Sasquatch that really helped me. I didn't even know it. So, and then I would find that I would have a channeling guide for my vocal skills. That was an opera singer. And so you guides come and go. They don't all. There's a few that will stay with you. Some will come in for a specific purpose, and they may leave. So it's just someone who's there to teach you, to maybe love you and support you, and that's a piece too. They all have different meanings. Some just like to hang out with you.
Yeah. I so as a psychic medium myself, a lot of mediums talk about they work through their spirit guides. They and spirit guides, in to my knowledge, in my opinion, can be our loved ones who have passed. We have guides that are with us throughout our entire life, and some that come and go at times when we
Mhm.
need them. Um, I personally have never really had any idea who my spirit guides are.
I
Like,
never had.
and I say that as a medium, so I've always like wondered. I've had dreams about, I've had recurrent dreams about the same person and things like that. So I have an idea, but I really don't know. you know, I'm always like, I'm a psychic medium. I should know, but
That's it. It doesn't really matter. I mean,
You're right.
I hear so many people that want to know the names of their guides and angels, and
yeah,
all the time, the angels, the guides, like it doesn't matter. You can call me what you want, really, most of them, but it's just about that relationship. That's what it's all
Yeah.
all about. And like you guys said, we go through. I mean, we have so many throughout our lives. We can call on them for absolutely everything, from Archangel Michael to all the angels to like say power animals to ancestors to loved ones to our grandma grandpa that passed away. It's beautiful, the relationship. That's one of my favorite readings, like mediumship, when you really not just describing the physical features of the past loved one, but you feel that love, the unconditional love and respect and compassion that loved one or guide or angel has for you. It's beautiful. And the knowing that as much as we need them or we think they're higher beings, they respect us in that same way. They consider us as higher beings just for being on this earth, going through this experience. And that's something that I think everybody watching needs to realize, is that as much as we think of them as these highly evolved beings, they think of us as the same way, for even wanting to experience this life, this incarnation, because this earth is heavy. It is a heavy school.
I agree. I agree. I mean, that's always been my feeling. I don't need to know. I just like, I don't need to know their names. Like, I don't have that need. Like, I did a while back, but I just know they're there, and that's
Yeah.
good enough for me.
And
Um,
Sam, Sam, you have spirit guides, right?
Yeah, I was going to say I had an interesting experience of actually discovering the name of my guardian angels while I was in the car listening to an audiobook by Sonia Choquette. I hope that's how you pronounce her name. But She actually deep dives into all of the different types of angels and how to work with them and call on them. And she has a really cool exercise in there. And I was able to actually tap in, and I heard symphony. And so symphony has been the name of my guides. And I kind of see them as this big symphony that kind of orchestrates and comes together. And so in terms of like a direct feeling of hearing a specific guide or seeing a specific guide, I haven't really had that either, but it's just kind of like this knowing. And what Derrick said, I did have a couple of experiences with some past loved ones and my ancestors where I had these powerful like healing experiences, and I just had this strong knowing that they were with me, kind of hugging me in this little bubble of light, and I just couldn't stop crying, and I couldn't even explain why, but it was like this release, but I knew that they were with me.
It's very overwhelming. Like I've had those things like when I'm dreaming, and I've had like a big hug. Like I just felt like a big, like I was engulfed, and like I was crying. It felt, and it sounds so weird, but it felt so like secure and loving, and then I kind of started waking up a little bit more, and then it was just gone, and I just started crying because I wanted it back. You know what I mean? It was just the weirdest thing, and I woke up and I was like, "What's wrong with me?"
I'd like to backtrack for just a second though, because when I first entered mediumship training, it was one of the things that was in the training is how to work with spirit guides and oftentimes how to meet your spirit guide. But now in my work, I honestly I have they teach me things, but spirit guides do not work with me in direct information, bringing information to me. They don't work with it. When I first started, they did. They talk about the basics, talk about, I see Vicky over there. I think she works, with them. But it's like some people have gatekeepers. The old school way, right? Was gatekeepers. You have a gatekeeper. You have different spirit guides that do different things. But the thing is to really free that up and to allow yourself to make relationships, to create relationships with these beings on the other side that then can be your teachers, your so many things. And we don't have to be locked into what we're often taught in some of the first classes we took.
It's funny you should say that. I really don't ever. I've never worked with my guides because I don't sense them
At
as
all?
much as I would love to. No,
Have you ever?
I know they're there just because I've been told so many times that you have these guides or they're there, so I trust that.
Yep, me too.
But I don't sense that.
Yeah. And that's okay. I guess that's what I'm getting to, the idea that that it works differently for everybody, and that's really what I want to get to is there are ways that you can, and for some people that's really hard, and one of the core ways to guided meditation or journey work are some of the ways to do that. And I find a lot of people I've worked with through the years, they do struggle with some of the journeys and meeting the spirit guides, and there's some questioning that occurs, or it's just like no one's showing up, and it can be hard. So it's a skill that can be developed and we can work with, and there are some ways to do that, but it works differently for everyone. My guides have just sort of popped in on me unexpectedly.
And you said it, Lauri. I think that's really important, that we're all on our own path. We're all on our own level of growth, and whether we're experiencing them or not, just knowing that they're there is enough, because our lesson for this life may not be to know them or to interact with them. It's just everybody's on their own path.
I was just going to ask you that. Is it unusual for someone to not ever be able to connect with them
Not at all.
and be aware
Not
of
at
it?
all.
No.
I don't think so. I just find like I've worked with a lot of mediums and done a lot of development and training and all of those things, and circles and whatever. And it just seems like a lot of mediums work through their spirit guides. Like they will ask their spirit guides the questions and communicate
Yep.
through their spirit guide. Which
They can.
I don't
Yeah.
feel that I do that, but I think it's really individual.
It is. I'm more of actually, I was just, I'm developing a course that I want to do around, I call myself a shamanic medium, right? And so really in shamanism, it's energy. Everything is energy. And how you, and actually, if you're a shamanic practitioner, if you're a true Paco, if you're, really on the high levels, mediumship and psychic, all that stuff is just built into it because they work on this energetic level. And so the idea of how you connect, it's like I don't have anyone, and some people do and they like it that way. But for me, it's just like, since it's energy, I'm just reading the energy. It's like the messages are coming through the energy to the person. I do, I have one of my brothers on the other side. He passed away in 2007. He's my bouncer, and I like have a force field, and I have a lot of mediums that say I'm really hard to read, and because it's like I have a force field. And that's my brother. He's a hoot, and he literally will show himself standing like you stand outside the bar, and he's protecting me. It's very funny. Now, the longer he's been over there, he's lighter about it. He has more finesse, thank goodness. But yeah, he is probably my most active and stays by my side. I would consider him a gatekeeper, but I like bouncer better.
Sounds more protective.
I love bouncer. That's so funny.
I was going to add to that too. Of course, because my main thing is tarot and oracle cards, I had pulled a card just in preparation of this conversation. And of course, I got communicate freely. And so I just thought that they speak to me through my cards all the time. And so what I like to tell people is a lot of times we're communicating with our guides all the time, but we dismiss it as thoughts that are just, oh, why am I thinking that all of a sudden? And we're just so quick to dismiss it. But a lot of times, at least my opinion is I feel we're communicating with them all the time. It's just whether or not we recognize it.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that.
Absolutely. Yeah. They say that too. Pay attention to those little, when something grabs your attention out of the blue for no reason, when you're driving and the store catches your attention, go into those kind of things. Pay attention, because that spirit could get in your attention for a reason. Like you say, those thoughts, like, that doesn't make any sense. I'm not that, or whatever. Dive into those little curiosities, those little pulls, that spirit. Those aren't accidents.
Those songs.
And not everyone who comes in is your spirit guide. I feel like I'm being told to say this. When kids are engaging with spirit, or they've got, they'll, mommy, the man's right here. Can't you see him? And my niece had one called the Laughing Man. And my sister would walk in the room. My niece is laughing and laughing and laughing. And she's like, what are you doing? She's like, oh, the Laughing Man is here. And she was all like 3 or so, and used to freak my brothers out. They didn't like to babysit. But a guy, maybe a little bit of a protector, maybe it was someone in the house and he was there. So you're really looking at a spirit who had, is there in that house. And so not all beings who come in are spirit guides. And I think that is important to say. Because some, visitors, sometimes they show up and they want, actually, the visitors want something. And I'm sure you guys had that too. And it's like, what do you want? Not right now. Go away and come back later.
Well, if they are, they're out of luck with me.
He's like, huh?
I have had my grandson tell me that he saw a man standing at my back door, just looking out the door with a big top hat on. He told me he saw him a couple of times. It's like, okay.
Interesting.
I said, did he speak to you? He said, no. He says, he just watched out the back door, out the back window. It's like, okay.
Interesting.
He wasn't afraid of him. He just said he was there.
That is very cool. I will say, the reason, so like I said, I'm big on dreams, and I've had them since I was little, and like visitations and things like that, and I get like downloads as well, just information. Um, but I had this dream several times of this beautiful, like dark black skinned woman, and she's wearing a purple dress, and she's just slim, and I've had like several, and she's just kind of like in the dream she's like my person, and we're laughing and we're having fun, and she's bringing me places, and it's like she's telling me things without telling me things. And I've had several dreams about her, and then like I think the name, what was it, Celeste? I don't know anyone named Celeste. You know, I woke up with that name and I was like, huh, so that is who I think. But like I myself don't like work through a spirit guide. I know they're there, like Vicky, like I just trust that they're there, and
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
somebody always shows up, so that's great.
Yeah, and like I said, it's not like they work like that for me. And what also happens is I'll be reading someone, I'll be doing a reading for someone, and especially like soul readings and things like that, and someone will come in, a higher level being will come in, and they'll bring in this information that is like mind blowing, and I'll go, holy crap. And one of my favorites was a Kabbalah master, and he came in and he brought in this amazing, like it started, it was someone who's Jewish sitting with me, and he comes in and he talks about how in religion we get so caught up in the clothes and the food and the and all these events, right? And he said, and you're missing it. And I'm not familiar with Jewish temples, and this is what he said. He said, you're missing the light. He said, you're missing the eternal flame. And so I went to, so I gave my message to the person, and she's like, she really enjoyed it. So I went to work the next day and was talking to my coworker, and I'm saying this, and she goes, Lauri, in the temple, there is the flame in the corner. She says, but no one pays attention to it. So she's explaining, she says, everybody's all caught up with the rabbi and doing his things. And I go, oh, wow. And so the message was so profound that every once in a while he'll pop back, and he's just this really ancient old man, and he'll pop in sometimes to tell me something, and they'll leave. And this happens sometimes, they'll come in through someone, and then they like me so much they pop back or whatever. But yeah, it's something. Some will just come in once, and they'll give you something. You go, oh, holy crap! That's amazing, and it just shifts your whole everything. And some are like, okay, you're very funny. You can go now.
Yeah, I don't know that I've had like a ton of interaction. For me, it's like mostly dreams, and let me think. I will say that sometimes when I'll give a reading, I feel the presence of another person there, but I can't quite, I know they're there, but they're not saying anything, they're not whatever, so that could be it, but.
Well, here's a twist on it. It was going to disappear. I know. So when you're doing a reading, sometimes your own ancestors, your own family will pop in for you to help you with the reading. And, if my brother pops in, this particular brother, my bouncer, I know I'm working with someone who had addiction issues, who, struggled with addiction, and he'll come in a certain way. And it's like, if one of my grandfathers comes in, I know I'm looking at someone who worked outside, and it's like, or these sort of things, and so they'll help me to put it all together.
That's very cool. That's
Yeah.
very cool.